Why did your crossword puzzles and those expensive memory supplements suddenly stop working? It's because your brain isn't just getting old, it's actually on fire. And you've been trying to put out that fire with the wrong hose. There's an invisible enemy in your gut called zonulin. Think of it as a master key that just unlocked the back door to your brain, letting microscopic waste leak in and turn your sharpest memories into wet cement. But there's a butter secret doctors rarely mention, a specific fat that acts like liquid cement to seal those leaks while you sleep. Listen closely, because this is how you take your mind back. Imagine you just walked into the kitchen. You stand there, hand on the counter, staring at the fridge, and for the life of you, you can't remember why. You laugh it off later with friends, calling it a senior moment. But late at night, when the house is quiet, the laughter stops. A cold, heavy dread settles in your chest. You wonder if this is the beginning of the big A. You wonder if your mind is finally starting to slip away. I get it. That fear is real. But listen closely. It's not your fault. Think of your brain like a high-security vault. It's the most protected space in your entire body. It has a specialized ceiling, a tight mesh of cells we call the blood-brain barrier. For decades, this barrier acted like a stone-faced security guard, keeping toxins out while letting nutrients in. But for many of us, a crack has formed in the ceiling. This is what we call BBB permeability. It's a fancy way of saying your brain's shield is leaking. When that happens, microscopic intruders, pollution, chemicals, and undigested waste start dripping into your vault. They aren't supposed to be there. Your brain isn't failing because it's old. It's struggling because it's being polluted. It's like trying to run a clean computer while someone pours muddy water into the motherboard. If you don't fix that leak, the power grid eventually goes dark. Those forgotten keys and lost names aren't just quirks of age. They are warning lights on your dashboard. But here is the part that will shock you. The crack in your brain's vault actually starts 3 feet below your skull, in a place you'd never think to look for your memory. You've tried the crossword puzzles. You've swallowed the ginkgo biloba. You've done everything the experts told you to do to stay sharp. And yet that mental fog still rolls in, thick and heavy, making you feel like a stranger in your own head. It feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? Like your own biology is turning its back on you. But here is the secret your doctor likely missed. To find the source of your leaking brain, we have to look 3 feet below your skull. We have to look at your gut. Your gut lining is supposed to be like a fine mesh coffee filter. Its only job is to let the good stuff through, the vitamins, the minerals, while keeping the grounds out of the brew. But there is an invisible enemy living inside you called zonulin. Think of zonulin as a master key. When it gets triggered, it walks up to the doors of your gut lining and unlocks them. Suddenly, that fine mesh filter has gaping holes in it. Now listen to this. Once those doors are wide open, toxic debris called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, spill out into your bloodstream. These are literally pieces of dead bacteria that have no business being in your blood. They hitch a ride straight up to your head, where they knock on the door of your brain's vault. And because your body is one connected system, the master key that opened your gut eventually opens your brain too. Does that make sense? When your gut leaks, your brain rains toxins. Can you see the connection now? You don't have a memory problem. You have an intruder problem. But it gets even more disturbing, Because there is a specific brain glue that your body stops making after 50, and without it, your brain literally begins to shrink.
Most people assume their brain is just like an old car tire, that after 60 or 70 years, the tread simply wears thin, and there's nothing left to do but slow down. But that's not what's happening. Your brain isn't just wearing out, it is actually on fire. Inside your skull, you have a team of tiny maintenance workers called microglia. Normally, these guys are like high-end vacuum cleaners. They glide around in that slick protective fluid, sucking up waste and keeping your neural pathways clear. They are the security guards of your consciousness. But remember those gut toxins we talked about? When those intruders leak through your defenses and reach your brain, your microglia go into a blind panic. They stop cleaning and start fighting. This is called glial cell activation. Instead of being careful janitors, they become terrified arsonists. They start throwing inflammatory matches, something scientists call cytokine storms, at everything they see. Because they are confused by the pollution, they can't tell the difference between a piece of toxic waste and your precious memories. So they start burning the furniture to stay warm. They attack your healthy neurons. And here is the heartbreaking part. To keep these guards calm, your body needs a specific health food, a coating that keeps everything lubricated and protected. But as we age, we stop making it. Without this glue, your brain loses its volume. It starts to feel gritty. Your thoughts get cloudy. It literally begins to shrink away from the inside of your skull, leaving a hollow gap where your sharpest ideas used to live. It sounds hopeless, right? Like a house fire with no water. But what if I told you that one specific health food sitting in your pantry right now is actually the gasoline fueling these flames? You've been a rule follower. You bought the heart-healthy whole wheat bread. You chose the low-fat crackers. You filled your pantry with grains because the experts told you that's how you stay young and protect your heart. You've done the work, but you aren't getting the reward. Instead, you're just getting more forgetful. Well, here is the cold, hard truth they won't tell you. They told you it was healthy, but they were wrong. Inside that healthy whole wheat is a protein you know as gluten. Most people think gluten is only a problem if you have a sensitive stomach. But listen to this. Gluten doesn't care if your stomach feels fine. In your gut, gluten acts like a set of microscopic crowbars. It triggers that zonulin we talked about, which reaches out and pries open the doors of your intestinal wall. It's not just a food, it's a biological weapon that creates intestinal permeability. And it's not alone. There are other shrapnel proteins called lectins hiding in your beans and brown rice. These tiny, jagged molecules literally tear at the delicate, fine mesh of your gut lining. Once those crowbars pry the doors open, the toxins flood your blood and head straight for your head. This isn't a theory, it is a mechanical breach of your security system. You're eating health foods that are prying open the very vault meant to protect your mind. You've been betrayed by the food pyramid. But as bad as the food is, there is something even more common, something sitting in your medicine cabinet right now that is bleaching the protective lining off your gut and brain every time you take a single pill.
You probably have a bottle of it in your purse or sitting on your nightstand. Maybe it's an ibuprofen for that nagging backache or a little purple pill for the heartburn after dinner. You take them without a second thought because they're sold in every grocery store in America. You think they're harmless. They aren't. In fact, that one common medicine is basically bleaching the protective lining right off your gut and your brain's shield. Think of your gut like a lush, protected garden. When you swallow an NSAID like aspirin or Advil, it's like scrubbing that garden with steel wool. These drugs work by inhibiting prostaglandins. Now, you don't need to remember that word, but you do need to know that those are the repairmen of your body. When you shut them off, your gut can't fix the tiny tears in its own lining. This leads to a tight junction breakdown. The cellular doors don't just open, they fall off the hinges. It is a scorched earth policy inside your own body. But here's the scary part. When your gut is raw and bleeding at a microscopic level, your hippocampus, the actual memory center of your brain, starts to lose its power. It's like a flickering light bulb that can't get enough electricity. First, the names of your neighbors start to fade. Then the faces of your old friends become blurry. One pill, then two, then silence. You aren't just treating a headache, you are dismantling the very wall that keeps your personality intact. And if you think a little forgetfulness is bad, wait until you see the slow slide. There is a specific point where this leak stops being an inconvenience and starts becoming a direct threat to your right to live in your own home. Take a second and really think about what scares you. For most of us, it isn't death, it's the slow slide. It's that terrifying morning when "Where are my keys?" turns into "Who are you?" It's the day your kids start talking about you in the third person while you're sitting right there in the room. You fear becoming a ghost in a nursing home. You fear the moment they take your car keys away for your own good. You fear losing your right to live in your own home. This is what happens when a leaky brain goes unchecked. When those toxins we talked about keep dripping into the vault, your brain undergoes atrophy. It literally starts to shrink. Imagine a vibrant, wet sponge sitting out in the sun until it becomes a tiny, hard, dried-up husk. That is what a shrinking brain looks like inside the skull. As the tissue shrivels, your body tries to patch the damage with something called amyloid plaque. Think of this like biological scar tissue. It's sticky, it's thick, it gunks up the gears of your thoughts until the messages just can't get through anymore. The phone lines are cut, the lights are on, but nobody is home. But I want you to hear this. You deserve to remember your wedding day. You deserve to know your grandkids' names when they run through the front door. You deserve your dignity. This slide isn't inevitable. It's a power outage that can be reversed if we flip the breakers. Because there is a specific brain-saving mineral, a natural sealant, that can actually plug the holes in your vault and stop the toxins from raining down on your memories.
You've spent enough time worrying. You've spent enough nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if your mind is a sinking ship. But today, the panic stops. We're moving past the fear and into the fix. You don't need a suitcase full of synthetic chemicals. You need a protocol that speaks the old world language of your own cells. This is the hero of our story, butyrate. Now that sounds like a clinical word, but it actually comes from the Latin word for butter. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid, and it is the liquid cement your brain's vault has been begging for. You see, butyrate isn't just a nutrient, it's a messenger. It is the specific language your gut uses to tell your brain the war is over. You can stop panicking now. When you flood your system with butyrate, it travels straight to those microscopic cracks in your gut and brain barrier and begins to seal them shut. It's like pouring fresh, warm asphalt over a road full of potholes. Suddenly, the intruders can't get in, and the arsonist guards in your brain finally put down their matches and go back to being janitors. But butyrate needs a partner. It needs collagen. If butyrate is the cement, collagen is the steel rebar that gives the wall its strength. Together, they knit your vitality back together, layer by layer. Can you feel that? The relief of finally having a plan that actually makes sense. But here's the catch. You can't just go out and buy a tub of butter and expect your memory to return. There is a fat-soluble secret to how you take this hero fat. In fact, there is one specific drink you should have right before bed that plugs the leak while you sleep. I know you're tired of the rattling pill bottles. You're done with swallowing a dozen horse-sized capsules that leave a metallic taste in your mouth and a hole in your wallet. You don't need another medicine cabinet makeover. You need a simple plug-and-play routine that starts in your kitchen and takes less than 5 minutes. These aren't just supplements. Think of them as instruction manuals for your cells. Step 1. Drink the molten gold. I'm talking about real simmered bone broth. It is rich in glycine and glutamine, the 2 amino acids that act like a heavy-duty sealant for your gut wall. When you drink it, it's like pouring molten gold over those microscopic tears we talked about. It coats the raw, inflamed tissue and tells the tight junctions to knit back together. Step 2. Build the fiber bridge. You need to feed the good bacteria in your gut so they can manufacture their own butyrate. Eat a small serving of cooked and cooled potatoes or a spoonful of acacia fiber. This is the raw material your body needs to grease the gears of your memory center. Step 3. Stop the nighttime sabotage. Stop eating at least 3 hours before your head hits the pillow. If your gut is busy churning through a heavy dinner, it can't focus on the repair and seal mission. But here is the fat-soluble secret that ties it all together. There is one specific warm drink you can whisk up tonight using a very common pantry staple that acts as a nightly patch kit for your brain's vault while you sleep. But you have to time it perfectly because your brain has a nightly cleaning crew that only shows up in a very specific window of the night.
You've worked hard to seal the leaks. You're feeling that first bit of sunlight breaking through the mental fog. But I know what you're thinking. Will this last? Or am I just one missed meal away from the clouds rolling back in? You want a shield. You want a guarantee that you'll be just as sharp at 90 as you are today. Well, this is the secret to staying sharp for the next 20 years. It's what I call the sleep cleaning secret. Every night while you are drifting off to sleep, a tiny nightly cleaning crew wakes up inside your skull. In the medical world, we call this the glymphatic system. Think of it like a city street sweeper that only comes out when the traffic has died down. This system pumps clear fluid through your brain tissues, mopping the floor and washing away the toxic trash that accumulated during the day. But here is the catch. The sweepers are shy. They only show up when your gut is quiet and your insulin levels are low. If you eat a big sugary snack right before bed, you're basically keeping the traffic heavy all night long. The street sweepers stay in the garage, the trash piles up, and you wake up feeling like your head is filled with wet cement. To keep your vault clean, you need to give the crew a window. That means no food for 3 hours before sleep. This allows your body to divert all its energy away from digestion and toward the brain. This nightly mopping is what prevents that sticky plaque from ever building up again. It's how you keep the machinery pristine. But there's one more thing. To make sure you wake up with a mind like a steel trap, you need to understand the emotional payoff. Because once the fog lifts, your place at the head of the table is waiting for you. Imagine yourself 6 months from today. You wake up before the alarm goes off, and your head feels light. Not dizzy, but airy, clear. The heavy, wet blanket of brain fog has finally been pulled back. You sit up, your feet hit the floor, and you don't have to wait for your thoughts to load. You're just there. You aren't a ghost in the room anymore. You're the host. Think about the next time you're at lunch with your friends. A name comes up, a movie title, a street name, a memory from 40 years ago, and instead of that painful, grasping, it's on the tip of my tongue feeling, the word just slides right out. You're back in the conversation. You're back in the driver's seat. You've outsmarted a broken system that told you this is just part of getting old. They were wrong, and you proved it. You didn't just accept the decline. You rolled up your sleeves and repaired the seal on your own vault. The fog is lifting. Your life is waiting. Let's go. You are now part of a movement, a group of people who refuse to be invisible and refuse to be forgotten. We're calling it the Clear Mind Movement, and your seat at the table is reserved. By fixing your gut and sealing your brain, you've taken your independence back from the brink. You have lives to live, stories to tell, and a legacy to protect. The senior moment is officially a thing of your past. You have the tools, you have the protocol, and now you have the clarity. But don't keep this victory to yourself. I want to hear from you in the comments. We're exposing even more of these hidden health traps in our next session. But for now, I have to ask, what's the first thing you are going to do with your clear mind today?